Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep with your host, Joel Chahine.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Tuesday morning edition of Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep. I'm Spencer Israel, joined by Joel Chahine and Dennis Dick. Got a jam-packed show today. A lot of earnings to discuss. Again, Whirlpool, we had yesterday, Arconic, RMBS as well. This morning, a lot of big players. Triple M, General Motors, Caterpillar, JetBlue, Eli Lilly, McDonald's, TD Ameritrade, Lockheed Martin, UTX, Schwab. There's some earnings we should discuss that are reporting after the bell today. Chipotle, AT&T, AMD, Juniper. Of course, we will take any question that you throw at us in our chat at premarket.benzinga.com, and we're going to try to talk as many stocks as we can. Plus, Dennis thinks he sees a head and shoulders in Tesla, so that'll be talked about as well. Our guest today will be Nic Chahine. He joined us every Tuesday. He is the author of Create Income with Option Spreads on MarketFi. And I do want to mention, as I've mentioned in the last two shows, that today at 11:30 we are doing a live Q&A in our office with Gene Munster, formerly of Piper Jaffray, now of the venture capital firm Loop Ventures. He's I would say one of the foremost authorities on the investing in AI and tech space. So we're doing a live Q&A with Gene Munster. You can tune into that on our pre-market site or on Benzinga's YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter pages. So Joel, how's it going this morning in the market?
S&Ps are up 4 1/4 here, 4.5 at 68 even. A lot of good earnings reports, found support over Monday's low. That was 61.50, 62 1/4 is your pre-market low. So no downside till we take that out. We have crude up 30 cents at 52.20. Gold in the hole by 320 at 1277.70. And silver just hanging out at 17, down 4.5 cents at 1703.5. Dennis, how you doing here on this Tuesday morning? Kind of a dark, gloomy morning in the Motor City.
Trading McDonald's right now as we speak. I need to get out of this. It's moving too much for a radio show.
Let me see. Let's go to Mickey D's and we'll get the report from
I just covered it just because I'm doing the radio show, and you can't trade something that's moving that much and try to do a live radio show. So it's a bad reason for covering a stock, but it popped. I don't know what to say. This one's really chopping around here a lot, so I actually just scratched the trade. But anyways, here, give us the numbers on Mickey D's. This thing is really chopping around. I kind of thought it was going down. I had a short on, and that's why I just covered it. Maybe it's a bad call to cover it, but it's right there, right where I was trading it. So Mickey D's numbers, Spencer.
Yeah, okay on the Q3, $1.76 versus $1.77, so they missed it by a penny. Sales of $5.755 billion versus $5.74 billion, so a slight beat. Q3 comps up 6%. Dennis, you mentioned that they're running it up ahead of the report. Is that why you had an inkling?
Yeah, I had this bias coming in. I kind of got ticked off because it really popped up to over 167. I was trying to wait till it started moving. I should have been short when it went up, but it's always scary when they're going straight up. And then it started moving down, and I was trying to short it, and I was like 166.5, 165.5, and I'm chasing it. And then finally, it just went down like 163, just popped back to 165. That's when I was initiating the short here. Now it's 164. It's just really chopping around here right now, trying to find its home. The report isn't that bad, but it had, been pretty strong into it. So I was kind of biased to sell it coming in, but I don't know. It's chopping around now, so it's hard to get a feel. And when you're doing a live radio show, don't trade something that's pretty active.
Yeah, very active. Your pre-market high, just a quick spike, just under 167. No, 167 even. That was your high print. You also traded down to 162.50, but that was all done within a couple minutes. I'm looking at that range from yesterday, and that was not a good day for Mickey D's. People taking some chips off the table ahead of the report. Closing price, 163.34. We are holding that. So as long as we hold that as well as the low for yesterday, 63.09, good to go to the upside. Below that, if you take that out, a little stopping point, 62.77, could much lower, though, at the 160 area. Coming back on the upside, man, 166.10. I think now with all said and done, that was a high from yesterday. That'd be a nice target if you're trading this on the long side.
I'm still more a little bit more bearish side. I think, Joe. I think I'm on the opposite side of this thing. Reason being, and it is chopping around here right now, still digesting the report. But reason being, we've had some fantastic reports here this morning. Companies absolutely blowing it away. Caterpillar, we're going to get to those in just a second. Caterpillar's blowing it away. General Motors just blew it away. 3M just blew it away. And now you get McDonald's, and it's kind of like in line. It's like, well, if they were going to sell something, this is going to be the one, I think. So, they didn't follow the lead of the other ones blowing it away. And that's why I'm a little bit more biased to the short side than the long side here. I know it's trading up 66 cents here right now. I think it could still go red, though.
All right. I do like that 163 area, though, that where you could get the real move down. You had two lows in that area. After that, drops off $1.50 to 160.58.
Let's jump over here to the Caterpillar numbers. This one really, really blew it away. CAT trading up $10. Well, it was trading up $10. Still up 9. Holy cow, Spencer. New all-time highs. This stock absolutely blew the numbers away.
Well, EPS was beat by a lot. Q3 EPS $1.95, $1.27 was the estimate. So a big beat there. Sales $11.41 billion versus $10.63 billion is the estimate. So big beats on the EPS, big beat on the sales.
Joel, I don't know what to say. I can go look at the book. You try to find.
No, don't even look at
it.
Throw
tricky.
That book away. Throw it away.
There's nothing. There's stuff all through the book, but I mean, there's so much volume already. It's already traded 388,000 shares, so it probably can chew through anything. So I guess the book is irrelevant when it's traded that much stock.
141.98, just under the whole number, 142. I just don't want to go out and say the high of the day's in here, but wow, what a move. Stopped at a whole number. I just keep an eye on 142 on the upside. That is an all-time high by a large margin. And then if you really feel like you have to be active in this thing, just look at the low of this last bar here, 138.90. Happy call that support for now. A lot of room on the downside after that, but I think you'll find sellers again 142 with the chance of this thing opening up, so you get a little steal off the open. I don't know, as you said, Dennis. Maybe if it's traded 140.5 and it opens at 139.5, yeah, do a little arbitrage, but I just wouldn't know where to put a bid in here to try and participate in a lower.
No, it's tough to chase. I mean, when it's up $10, it could go up 15. It could give back 5. I mean, it's kind of a coin flip at this point in time for me. It's a great report and it's up great. I don't see where the edge is to try to, figure out, I think there's a mispricing here on price discovery process. General Motors also blowing it away. $2. This is new highs, new all-time highs for the new General Motors. Obviously, they restructured the company back in, 2011, 2010?
Oh, let's
track of years now, Joel.
Yeah, we're getting old now. Let's see here. The all-time high in old GM is like $84, but 94.88. But that's not even an irrelevant thing here.
That was the all-time high before the restructuring.
Right.
But that's comparing apples to oranges, because obviously you lost debt and that's all completely different. So 47.13 though, up $2. This is a great report too. Spencer, what are the numbers?
$1.32 versus $1.13 on the Q3 adjusted EPS. Sales 33.6 versus $32.7 billion. So a beat on the sales and a beat on the EPS. And there we go. Good both ways.
Great report here too, and the stock is rewarding shareholders here once again. I mean, this market's hot. It's hot.
So you could say 47.26 at your pre-market high, just trading only 20 cents off that, not near a whole number. Still very good momentum in this one. I don't know, $50. I mean, is that out of the should we say $50?
I think it's off the table for today, but I don't think GM $50 is off the table for this run. I mean, we've run from $36 when everybody hated it at the end of August and said Tesla was eating their lunch. Now it's 47, and now they're saying, GM is going to lead the electric vehicle charge. So it's funny how the tide has turned here, and the tide has turned for Tesla as well. I mean, you got a stock here that was in September trading up around 360, had the run up in the middle of September up to 390. And now you get this head and shoulders that is fully formed in Tesla. I'm looking at the head, or the left shoulder, August to September, the action from 340 to 360, the head up there at the 390, and then the right shoulder, almost perfect formation, 340 to 360 as well. You break that neckline in Tesla, which is down around 331. Katie bar the door.
Actually, it's like a head and shoulders on top of a head and shoulders.
A lot of head and shoulders going on.
Yeah. Dennis mentioned that key level on the downside here, coming back on the upside. Big bar yesterday. So I have to agree with you on this one. 2 big red bars 2 days in a row. Downside momentum. Nice target on the downside, 31.28. But boy, like I told you guys, 11:30, Gene Munster is going to be in the house, and we'll have to talk to him. I mean, he's found this autonomous vehicles, driverless cars, and see what kind of update he has on GM. So we'll be asking him those questions at 11:30 today.
Jump over here to this earnings. Where do you want to go? And chat, lead the way. There's so many companies here. So if you want to talk specific, let us know. Let's go to the other Dow component, 3M, because it's flying here too. So if you're looking, and you're doing your ARBs and you're looking around the SPY and the DIA, and you're saying, oh, why is the DIA so much stronger? Because you got 3 major components here that are really blowing it away here and really obviously bringing up the Dow. At 3M here is up 7 points. They blew it away too, Spencer.
3M Q3 EPS at $2.33 versus a $2.21 estimate. Sales of $8.2 billion versus $7.93 billion. So beat on both. They're also increasing their fiscal year guidance. EPS it was $8.80 to $9.05. That was the original range. Now it's $9 to $9.10.
And here we are looking at 3M trade up 7 points in the pre-market. What's the levels here?
230 at your pre-market high.
I'll go look at the book.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, 230 at your pre-market high. Once again, notice how these pre-market after hours, that when they do stop, eventually it is like at a whole number. We've talked about the whole number, half number theory. Hit 230, now $2 off that low. Early range 227. That's been the low since you hit that 230 print. So minor, when I say minor support at 227, and halfway difference, decent resistance at 230 in triple M.
Let's jump over here to Biogen, BIIB, and they reported as well. And the stock was trading higher, but has now turned lower here this morning. BIIB trading down $7. They just reported here at the top of the hour too. Spencer, details.
$6.31 versus $5.70 estimate. Man, everyone's beating today. Sales of 3.08 versus 3.3 billion. Well, they beat.
Yeah, not good enough here. So you can see the stock trading down actually in the pre-market on this report. It was closed at 328. I looked at trading 334, Joel, out of the report. There was an upgrade there too, so I was maybe helping it out a little bit there. Or actually, it was just initiated at a buy. I think at where was it? At Guggenheim. Not good enough though, because the stock is trading down now significantly.
And we are in the red. Street leaning the right way into this report, Dennis. You hit 348.84. That was 4 trading sessions ago. Sold off the next 4 days. Low here pre-market is 321 even, just sitting there right now. Really, no, 320.10 your pre-market low. Not a big bounce yet. If you're a gap fill trader and you're looking for that, 316.55 to 320.28. That fills the gap from October 4th and 5th. So throw a bid out there. Maybe look for a gap fill here. Another down, another $5. Coming back on the upside. It's going to be tough here. I'm going to have a ways to go even to get to settlement at 328.55.
Jump over here to Lockheed Martin, LMT. That's trading down now too. Again, another culprit of a stock that had run up into the report, was trading up a little bit ahead of the report. Spencer, details on it. Lockheed Martin.
Lockheed Martin Corporation, Q3 EPS $3.24 is a 2-cent miss. 326 was the estimate. Sales of 12.2 versus $12.8 billion. So they missed on the sales and they missed on the EPS. Fiscal year 17 sales coming in line with the estimate. Fiscal year EPS guidance coming in higher than the estimate. $12.64 is the estimate. $12.85 to $13.15 is the estimated range for the fiscal year EPS.
Lockheed Martin down. McDonald's has just turned red here too, just to let you know. It is trading in the red here now. So wish I would have held that short, but obviously radio show takes precedence over trading here.
Or you could have just taken off half of the position and put a mental stop in and forgot about it.
How am I going to do a mental stop? I'm doing a live radio show. I can't even look at it.
All right.
You want to monitor? We need to hire somebody to monitor my trades while I'm doing the live radio show.
Spencer, no. I'm talking about the other Spencer, your kid. Have him do it. 314, we caught a bounce off that, up 235 from that 314 low. So that is giving me some significance. If you're leading on the daily charts, the 313.02, your 3-day low, could come into play today. In order to get back up to yesterday's range, 1987, that was the low. So maybe call 320 resistance right now in Lockheed Martin.
Jump over here to UTX. Man, the Dow components all over the place.
They know how to pick up, Dennis.
This one was slipping through the cracks. I didn't even notice it because it hasn't moved much this morning, but they did report.
They did. UTX Q3 adjusted EPS $1.73 is a 5-cent beat. Sales of $15.1 billion versus $15 billion on the dot, so a slight beat there as well. They are also raising their guidance, their fiscal year EPS coming in. They raised the guidance for about 13 cents for the fiscal year. Sales guidance coming in higher as well, or they're raising that as well, I should say.
Interesting chart here.
Interesting chart.
124.40, that's your pre-market high. They were trying to get to that all-time high at 124.79. Now you've backed $3 off of that. I think the high could be in this one. Coming on the downside here, if you're looking for support, I see a trio of lows at the 118 area. Actually, 4 lows there. Call support at 118.45.
Yeah, I'm looking at the book, and it kind of looks thick, too, all the way up. So I wouldn't be surprised. Pretty light volume here yet. This is one that has the potential to go red, too. So what were the numbers again? Give me the numbers again, Spencer, the bottom and top line.
From UTX.
So you got to really blow it away to go higher.
From UTX,
yeah,
$1.73 versus $1.68, so 5 cents.
Not
and
a blow away.
15.1 versus 15 billion, so not a blow away.
No, this is gonna pull. I think this pulls a McDonald's here too. I think this could go red.
But they're raising their guidance. They're raising
how much they raised.
They raised so the original EPS estimate for the fiscal year was $6.45 to $6.60. That was the original estimate, $6.45 to $6.60.
Yeah.
Now $6.58 to $6.63. Sales was originally 58.5 to 59.5. They raised it by $500 million.
I'm still going out on a limb. I think it goes red. Joel, what are your thoughts? I won McDonald's bet already. What are your thoughts? You're already down to lunch.
I'm not gonna fade you.
You were
Dennis.
bullish. I was bearish. I cost you lunch.
I am not gonna fade you on this one.
He's not fading me. I'm hot right now. Actually, McDonald's is trying to crawl its way back, but I think UTX. No position on here, but I think it goes red too. So I just think this market, they need to absolutely blow it away. And I don't think they absolutely blew it away, even though the guidance, okay, they raised the guidance a little bit here, but on a light volume, looking at the book, it looks kind of thick. I think it goes red. My own opinion. Maybe 121.60. They just whacked out. Somebody just listened to the show, but okay. Next stock here, GLW. Corning, it is trading up. This one is one that has a potential to give some of it back too, because it's already given back a lot of the gain. This was trading in the mid 31s, and I was trying to short this one too, and I got a little bit greedy and trying to get the mid 31 pricing. I should have hit 31 because now it's under 31. GLW.
43 cents is a 2-cent beat. Sales of 2.7 versus $2.6 billion.
Not good enough here either, in my opinion. It hasn't run up as much though, so it didn't need to blow it away as much, but Joel, give us some numbers on GLW. I'll tell you the book is thick on this one too. Very thick.
Thick stock. 31.40.
Thick on the way up.
31.45. That is your pre-market high. Just missed that high you had at 31.74. That was back in July. That might have been earnings. But where this stock gets interesting is on the downside. You had 2 tops right at the 30, just under the 30.5 level, 30.38, 30.42. So theoretically, you come down and you hold 30.40, this is poised to go higher. If not, you could easily see the close at 30.01 and 2 lows right to 30 area. So 2 key levels, 30.40, 30 even. coming back on the upside. I don't know. I think in fact that it backed off there, Dennis. I don't think we'll see that 31.45 pre-market high.
Jump over here to Whirlpool. Dr. J wants to know about it because this was one from last night, and this one is getting annihilated here. So they're not all good this morning. Whirlpool down $18. Whoa, Spencer.
18?
What did you say? 18.
Oh, $3.83 versus $3.94. Sales of 5.4 versus 5.51 billion. So a miss on the sales and a miss on the EPS. But the real problem is they're cutting their outlook for the fiscal year, citing a quote unfavorable raw material inflation and product price mix. So they're cutting their fiscal year adjusted EPS, cutting their operating cash flow. That's why.
News algo sees cut unfavorable. Those words mean sell, and that's what the news algo did last night. Sold it hard. Kramer said it on a show last night. He says, heaven forbid, if you're even beating on earnings, sometimes they're going down. When you miss, they annihilate you. And that is what we are seeing here in Whirlpool. When you cut guidance and when you say unfavorable, that word, you're down 10%. So WHR probably deserved with that commentary.
Oh, boy. Just trading on the lows of the pre-market session, 63, 63, 64 now has been the last trade. So keep your eye on this one. That pre-market low at 9:29 and 59 seconds is something to keep an eye on. I guess this old support that you had at 167 is now going to be resistance. You had a bunch of lows in there in August. Man, look at this thing on the monthly charts. I'll give you a level. It's not going to get to 160. Oh boy, 167, 160, 130. If I had to pick one number on the downside where I would put out a bid, it would be 160, 130. That was your December of 2016 low.
Let's talk. Fuzzy wants to know about Hasbro. That was from yesterday. Hasbro, obviously, and HAS got annihilated yesterday. But we can do a little recap of Hasbro. Even throw some GE recap in there from yesterday. Hasbro lost $10, and it wasn't a good report. They hit it, and they kept hitting it, and the stock closed near the lows. It is bouncing back here this morning. Kramer was defending it a bit. I believe it was Kramer last night. Somebody was defending it on CNBC last night because I saw it popping back. I thought we had some analyst commentary here too.
We did.
HAS
Barclays upgraded this morning to overweight.
Barclays upgraded, so I knew there was some analyst commentary in there somewhere. So it's helping it back a little bit here, but I don't know if this is just a bounce back here. One thing I will say about Hasbro is it is now significantly off the highs. But you look at the chart of Mattel.
I was just thinking that.
I'm just scared to buy Hasbro. I just can't. And you look even at this chart of Hasbro from 2017. You got a head and shoulders here too, guys. 27. Not that we're big pattern traders, not that we have dandruff, but we're looking at head and shoulders this morning. 2017, January, February, March, April, you got the left shoulder. It's a long one. I'm looking through the whole year. Then you got the head way up there at 119 or 116 when we got there in July. And then the right shoulder formed in the last few months. And now, breaking the neckline and going down and trying to fill a gap here, Joel. I think there's room to 80 on this.
I am looking for a bounce on this one. I like to see. I was thinking the same thing you did, Dennis, about you look at this Mattel chart. I mean, do kids use toys anymore? I mean, you got the computer, you got Facebook, you got all these things. I mean, they got the boost from they got the Star Wars stuff. I just the way these stocks decoupled, I just don't see Mattel going back up, and I see more likely Hasbro. This kind of reminds me of my Taubman Centers call about a year and a half ago that I didn't fully capitalize on. I'm very long-term bearish Hasbro, and I'm not even going to look for support. I love to see this thing get back up to 95, 96, right into those old lows for a lower risk short, but just don't have just long-term bearish on Hasbro.
We have some good calls. You had some great calls on that TCO, and we've had some good calls on this show. We also have some bad calls here too. And yesterday I had a bad call on GE. I think both of us thought that it might bounce back, and it gave back the entire game. I mean, I actually bought. So I'll outline you a trade. I've obviously had in my investment portfolio for 17 years, so not talking about the investment, but I thought it might get some follow through. It had a couple downgrades yesterday. I also had the upgrade from Bank of America. I was like, maybe they're going to come in and buy this off the open. So I bought the opening tick yesterday just for a trade.
Made the journal.
The opening tick at 23.44, I think is where it opened. I bought the absolute high. It opened at the high of the day. I got down in that trade immediately, and right away I'm like, okay, I think I'm wrong. Why do I think I'm wrong? Because I'm red. I'm red in the trade. I want them to start buying it right away, and they started selling it right away. So I'm dead wrong in this trade. I'm trying to work out of it. And I'm like, okay, it's pretty choppy, chopping around. It got down a dime and popped back up a little bit and then down. And I ended up selling, I think averaged around, I had to sell multiple times because it's a little bit of a sizable position. And I ended up, averaged out around 23.29. So I lost about 15 cents. This is something that nobody will ever say, but I'll tell you that was a good trade yesterday. Why? Because I was dead wrong with my call and I only lost 15 cents.
Yeah, that one, I don't know. You were talking about it in the pre-market, and I should have been more strong on that one, and because it had the strong close, but it wasn't like following through. It did have some upgrades and some downgrades, but once again, we talk about the opening print, right? The importance of the opening print. You bought 23.44. The high was 23.44. You knew you were in the journal. You just scrambled. You got out of it. Now you got an interesting situation. I don't think I would have thought it went all the way back down to 22.18, but support forming at the $22 level. 22.10, the low on earnings day. 22.18. That was your low yesterday. But just remember, man, someone was willing to sell this thing at 21.47 in the pre-market trading on Friday. So 22, it has a shot. Let's see if the institutions land, stick their bids there. But, man, the third time, those bounces are going to be more and more muted because more and more people are stuck long in GE.
Yeah. And, okay, but one thing you made a point, is like I would look at that low yesterday too. If it takes out that low and you got it on for a trade, you absolutely need to 10, 22, 18. Take that out, get under 22. It's, ugly. And there is multiple downgrades again today. Stifle downgrading, Oppenheimer downgrading. I mean, the analysts are chasing price like crazy on this thing now. This thing is downgraded every day. Now let's look, and the dividend kind of still looming here too. And I think that's what really holds the stock down as well, is because everybody knows this dividend cut is coming. Now let's.
What's going on there, Dennis? Another bad trade?
I think my kid didn't like my GE position.
Okay.
Usually it's pretty good, but he was pretty upset about GE as well. So I think General Electric's holding it down. All right, so let's jump over here to, that was reminding me, you know what that reminded me of? Remember that guy on what was that thing like 6 months ago, Spencer? Remember when the live video was there?
Yeah.
And the kid,
he was on
doing the live
BBC.
video.
He was on BBC and
he's doing the live video there of, and then this kid, comes in, it's just strolling into the background, and then the other kid comes strolling, and then his wife comes flying in trying to get the kids out of there. That's basically what just happened here, but it was on a radio show. A kid just opened the door screaming, and my wife just came in and grabbed him quickly.
That was funny.
That was funny. Okay, back to stocks here. 8:28, and we got 2 minutes before imbalances, but I don't even remember what stock. Oh yeah, we're talking GE. I want to talk. Okay, so I was just saying, support is support until it's broken. So you got to stick with the 22, because look at T-Mobile last 3 days. This TMUS, and we said it yesterday on the chart. I'm like, it was range bound. So 3 days ago, the high on TMUS 61.97, the low 60.31. 2 days ago, the high 61.98. So within a penny. 60.28 the low, within 3 cents of the low. Yesterday's range, this is incredible. $62 and 60.30 the low. It had 3 days of almost identical ranges within 3 cents of each other on the high and within 3 cents on the low. I've never seen that before. And we actually called it yesterday. We said at the start of the show, I'm like, well, support's very well defined at 60.30 and resistance very well defined at 62. It's even more well defined here now. This thing is incredible to be in that same identical range. That's a big range. $1.70.
$1.70 on an earnings day too. You think that it would get nudged one way or the other, and maybe some people were leading that way. Oh, we're going over 62. Oh no, I'm wrong. Now we're going under 60.30. So play the range again today, but I'll be looking for a close here, either above 62 or below those. It's actually a quad of lows, Dennis, because your 4-day low was right at 60.25. So it's going to be a battle here in TMUS, and the Bulls and the Bears are lining up. We'll see which end is taken out.
Let's jump over here to a couple other earnings stocks here. Eli Lilly stock. I actually was going to buy this last night. It was down in after hours, and I was like, you know what? I just want to maybe take a shot on this. I did not. I'm regretting it because it's up $2.50. Lilly numbers, Spencer.
$1.05 versus $1.03, 5.66 billion versus 5.52. So beat on top by 2 cents and the beat on the bottom.
Thoughts, Joel?
Lilly all the way back, 89.99. That is your pre-market high. That's not quite an all-time high because Lilly snuck up to 92.85. That was back in September of 2015, only trading 40 cents off the high. Just a big move in a thick stock. So, I mean, unless you get immediately follow through 90, you could get some back and fill in here. I mean, it's up 232 on 13,000 shares. I don't know how much it traded last night, but the report was from this morning. So, I don't know. This would be one what was the top of yesterday's range? I mean, a lot of these times you never get done on these bids, but I don't know, throw something in the lower 88, you make it done on the open and then it run up. Yesterday's high to fill the gap, you need to get below 88.19.
Okay, I just want to you to explain. You just said a concept there, and it's something that you say quite a bit on the show, and I don't know if we've ever explained it. Back and filling. Tell us what that is.
Well, you want to use? I guess you want to use
the example you just gave.
Okay, all right.
Just explain it in detail.
Okay, with Lilly, big pop, right? And let's just look at the daily. This thing trades, any 4 or 5 million shares, right? So on a normal day, you had a buck range, right? To move it a buck, you need 4 or 5 million shares, right? Theoretically, to do that. Now you have a move way over the average daily range of, it's trading up 232. It traded up higher, so it was up $283. So theoretically, maybe 15 million shares to trade it really up to that level. Only 13,000 have traded in the pre-market here. So if there's enough stock offered in the book lower, you could get it off the open at a cheaper price. I just don't see people just coming in and just saying, okay, I'm short, I need to get out when this thing's up 232. Instead, they'll realize that they're long, they're wrong, hope for a little bit of a pullback, and then try and buy the stock instead of pining in the open and potentially buying the high.
A couple other stocks I just had on my list that report, and there's so many that report. Again, if you want one specifically, let me know. Just going to jump to Ameritrade, AMTD. That stock is trading up significantly in the pre-market as well. It's always nice to cover the retail brokers, especially since we have a lot of broker or traders that use retail brokers. AMTD trading up $1.50 in the pre-market. Nice volume. Well, not nice volume, only 6,500 shares, so light volume. But Spencer, give us the numbers, and then Joel's going to give you some levels.
49 cents versus 46 cents. Sales of 983 million versus 959 million. So beat on both. I spoke with the CEO, Tim Hockey, after the last earnings report, and I asked him about the acquisition of SkyTrade. He said they expect it to close in October, which is now. So that's coming through.
49.73. That is your pre-market high. Only backed off 50 cents from that. Hit an all-time high a couple weeks ago at 50.72, and then it came off that level really hard that day. I don't know what happened. Hit 50.72 and closed at 48.32. So people are getting another shot here. I think it's really interesting that high was $2 higher than any high that it ever had in the daily session. The next previous high was 2 days later at 48.85. You're trading above that. I expect to see sellers in the 50 handle because I'm sure some people got caught that breakout over 50 and then that quick reversal on that day.
Balance look, quick look here before we grab Nick. GE, the sellers just continue to mount here. It's 347,000 to sell here this morning. That is big. And the stock is trading down 18 cents. Again, the double downgrade, Stiefel and Oppenheimer both downgrading the stock this morning. Both of those are chasing price calls. We know our ACP strategy of analysts chasing price. Looking at Square, our buy guy is still there. SQ with a buy imbalance of 70,000 shares. They've been there for a month. 6,000 shares to buy. And he's been there a long time too, or she. 497,000 to sell. That's interesting because obviously General Motors up significantly. I would expect that Ford imbalance to probably flip. It's trading up already 1% in the pre-market. A little bit of a sympathy move, obviously, with General Motors there. Snap, SNAP, 77,000 to sell. And let's go look at Twitter. We haven't looked at Twitter chart for a while. And Twitter, no post imbalance yet on Twitter. Designated market maker hasn't got in yet. So here we are, Twitter. What do you think of Twitter?
I don't know.
Yesterday.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
It usually runs into a report, and this is going the opposite direction. I just saw something on Pro that someone's expecting just a horrible third quarter. Let's see. Analysts say expect the worst in Twitter's 3Q. I don't know. So they're selling it into it. Maybe if you got back down under $17 ahead of the report, I see the quad of lows at the 1675 area. Maybe I'd have a little bit of interest here, but not much here in Twitter, trading down. And I think, are we trading down in the pre-market a little bit? Yeah. I mean, what's the driver in this thing to get it going up today? I have no idea. 1742. It's where did Twitter go off the board? It went off the board yesterday at 1737. I tell you, if you get anywhere near 18, you're going to find a lot of sellers. Three highs between 1795 and 1806.
Let's get Nick on right around now. So I'm going to give Nick a call. Nic Chahine, author of Create Income with Option Spreads on the MarketFi platform. You can find all of Nick's analysis and Nick's trades. Nick, how's it going?
Yes, good. How are you?
Doing well. Trying to keep up with all the earning stocks today. What's on your radar?
No, it's a plethora, right? No, I'm just enjoying the reports and see how markets react to. They need, a good story, nothing bad, and some of them are great, like Caterpillar. Setting new highs, which is an incredible rally that it's had of late, and then others like Whirlpool, not so lucky.
Nick, jump over here we obviously have the earnings parade here, but we've got bigger companies that are going to report here coming up as well. I mean, we saw FANG yesterday, and I know when you're not talking, the energy stock, we're talking your FANG with Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. And we saw those stocks very weak yesterday. I mean, Facebook lost $2 or $3. It was quiet because the market was up, but these stocks were not. Amazon got hit yesterday. Netflix got hit a little bit yesterday. And Google hit hard yesterday as well, losing almost 20 points. Thoughts here as some of these companies are going to be here on FANG.
Wait, and Nick, before you go into it, I didn't mention it yesterday. Barron's very, very bearish on Facebook, Amazon, and Google. Talking antitrust and just paralleled what happened with Microsoft and IBM and some of their battles with the U.S. government. But that was the reason I didn't mention it. Sorry about that, Nick. You talk your fundamentals and your technicals.
Well, fundamentals, the antitrust thing, you have to trade around it.
Correct.
I mean, it's different than the fundamentals. It's a piece of the puzzle. So I couldn't tell you how that's going to play out, except that we've been there before, and maybe this is a little different world. I think Microsoft always serves as a perfect example of that, where everybody thought they was eating the world. I'm not sure how they're going to argue that against Amazon. So let's tackle that from the perspective that Amazon actually, the reason it clobbers all the other competition is because it makes it better for the consumer, and that's who the antitrust laws are trying to protect. So how can you argue that? If anything, it's great that Amazon is doing that from a consumer perspective because it's cheaper for us to do everything and more convenient. So I don't think that argument flies against Amazon. The argument flies against Amazon because of valuation. That's what everybody argues about, except that it's growing leaps and bounds. So if, Amazon just took a couple of big bites, right? The Whole Foods and whatever other venues they're getting into. So if they can manage the noise that's going on, can you imagine the headquarters right now in Amazon, how everybody's running around trying to make everything work. If they can manage that properly and continue doing what they're doing, I don't know how you can short the stock at long term without shorting the whole market. So from the legislative perspective, I'm not that worried. From the fundamental perspective, on Google, I'm not that worried. On Facebook, I'm maybe a little bit worried just because of metrics that always comes up, and we can't squash that bug yet. Amazon, it's a different valuation because it's a growth stock. Google has growth, has potential, but Amazon is the actual, poster child for that because they spend every dime they make growing, where Google doesn't do that yet. So they all have potential. dips will be bought if markets stay here. That's my opinion. So you got to pick your entries. And the way I do it, you know it already. I've said it here 1,000 times. I don't buy the stock, so I don't worry exactly to catch the very bottom. But if I have been eyeing an entry point into Google, especially into earnings, what better time to do it than when it dips? Especially that markets are not lasting red. You know, I bought a few lottery puts last night expecting a dip. We got it overnight, but then now it's gone. So there goes my lottery ticket. So they're buying every dip without a disaster headline. What could that headline be? I couldn't tell you. Yep. I mean, the flash crash happened out of nowhere.
Right. Let's just GE here. Boy, I know you've got to stay clear of this one here. Bad report. Fundamentals are not good. Technicals look worse here. Anything? This one you selling puts in, or are you just going to let this one just go down by itself?
No, I bought lottery ticket for that one just for the headline in November. If they cut or if they don't cut the dividend in GE, it seems like everybody, that's what they want to see. And, you know, I did a Costanza there. There's no rhyme or reason for it. The fact that we see a headline coming, and if it's scary, we've been buying the reaction. Like everybody feared the Trump reaction, the election, and then when he actually got elected, oh, this is so great. And even if Trump gets booted out of the office, everybody will say, oh, this is so great because, you know, whoever replaces him is going to be much better than him. And every scary thing, they turn it into a positive. So when they cut the dividend in November, everybody's going to say, oh, now it's out of the way. Now it's so great. So it's like you know, whatever happens, bye. No, I did buy a lottery ticket in GE calls. It's completely money down the tube, just literally like a lottery ticket, because I don't know the fundamentals. It seems like a slug. It seems like it's been dying forever. But it's just literally a lottery ticket. And if the headline gets out of the way, they could spike it up. I'm not certain on that. I only put money that I don't mind losing. It won't break my heart or my piggy bank.
Nick, a couple other ones, and we've talked about a few of these already on the show, but I was pointing out, and I want your thoughts on Tesla here. We just pointed out this head and shoulders pattern here. It's been a long forming one here. It's kind of been forming this right shoulder for a month. We're kind of hanging out right at the neckline. My whole thesis on this, and obviously I've been dead wrong on Tesla because I've always been more of a valuation guy, and you know, I thought this has been overvalued forever, but it continues to be more and more and more overvalued. But it does look like a topping pattern to me here, even in the technicals here now. What are your thoughts here on Tesla? Talk me out of shorting this thing.
Well, the topping thing has surfaced many times before. The one concern about Tesla is that yesterday, I think it was when they got somewhat good news that they're going to build something in China to build cars or batteries. I can't remember, but this was supposed to be good news, and it was up in the morning, and then it didn't turn out so well for the stock. So that's a sign. If you can't rally on perceived good news, then there might be something wrong with the stock. Yeah, technically, you don't like to bump against the floor. But if the floor holds, they should bounce back to 350, 360. So technically, it was showing upside potential to say 370, but it hasn't materialized, and now it's fighting for its life with the that looming head and shoulder-ish like pattern. So that could make it test a 300 level, 310 eyeball there. So if that happens, but if you look back on the same chart I just posted at 8/2 of this year, it had the same pattern, even bigger, but it held just above 300.
So the key is to hold that neckline.
Right. So the neckline, technically speaking, that's the key. Fundamentally speaking, it's out in the stratosphere, and you have to. But again, the long-term story in Tesla, you cannot refute now. Even if you're 90% sure that this is not going to make it as a car company, but there's so many branches to the story that you can't kill them all now. Kind of like the Trump trade when it first started, he did promise so much that even if you believe he's going to crash and burn from the execution perspective, you couldn't prove it now. So the bullish sentiment around it is going to linger for a long time. So I wouldn't put a nail in the coffin of Tesla yet, but it needs a bounce, technically.
Two fundamental things not really talked about a lot. Number one is, significant layoffs. I mean, they said it was because of job performance or whatever, but you have to think about that as a negative. And then also what was the other negative that I had for Tesla? I'd like to know the whole combination, the Solar City thing, like the net effect that that's had on the company, because it looked like that company was going to zero when he took it out. And, I don't know if it's helping them produce batteries or picking them up on the energy end or things, but, I don't know how much that's hurt the old production. So there's, two things that fundamentally that I have questions about with Tesla. Move on to GM here, traded up $1.95, 47.07. Last print up $1.92. Boy, this one, Nick, $50. And the thing that really bothers me about this one, I can't even talking about this with Brent. And it was after the Deutsche Bank move, and it had four highs in a row, right at 40.65 or 40.70. And then I was like, hey, you got to buy the thing going to that level. And maybe that was the day that Deutsche Bank came up and with the good news, but it blasted through there. Never looked back here. Technical thoughts on General Motors.
You can't short it on the short term.
Too high to buy, too hot to short.
Yeah, I can't do anything with it at this point. I don't believe that I'm not on board this rally, and if I'm not, I wait to see what happens. If on the monthly chart, this looks like this would be the target on the monthly chart of the breakout, but is it starting another one here? I'm not sure. So if you're a momentum player and you can slice in and out of that, kudos. That's probably the way to do it. But if you're not on board, if you have profits in it, maybe you trim and you lock in some, but there's no reason to get out of them because you're riding such a nice ride. But if you were in it for trade, definitely, if I was in it for trade, I'd definitely be out.
I would have been out at 45, but
that's the same thing. People say, well, if you had $100 in Bitcoin in 2010, you'd have like millions now. Yes, but I probably would have booked it at 150%. So it's just a beautiful ride to see it here. And it's pretty impressive as far as a stock move.
What are your thoughts on Bitcoin? I don't know if we've ever asked you about it.
Okay, I do have thoughts. People,
give us thoughts.
Well, here's how it is. You buy it. You don't have to justify it. You buy it because you like it. Same as you do gold. Gold doesn't have a thesis behind it except that we love this stuff and it's hard to get. Same with this. You can wear it,
though.
Huh?
You can wear it. You can't wear the Bitcoins.
You can print one and put it around your neck. So
that's what we're doing, Spencer. Get on there right now. Bitcoin apparel. Yeah. Bitcoin apparel.
It's
There's a business model there, Joel. Stop. That's a business model right there. Start your site, sell that on Amazon. Bitcoin apparel.
Yeah. So
priority out there.
You can't say it's going to go away because it's not. It's probably, you can say it's not going to be a currency because it's so unstable. That's true. But gold is not a currency. It's an asset that we love to own. The proverbial we. So if Bitcoin is in that bucket, that's perfect. You can ban its use here and there to stop the illicit use of dissemination of monies to do crime and whatever somehow. But you can't say you can't have it exist. And if you do, it will probably skyrocket in value because then people would want to own it, in behind the scenes. So I'm just saying people try to knock it down as a disaster or, gold is the same. What if somebody says, I can create gold out of nothing? What will happen to the value of gold? So one could argue that gold's a bubble that way too. So it's just not a currency. It's an asset because everybody wants it. Well, people want it more than there is of it.
Yeah, limited supply. You're exactly right. Well, and this, how frustrated would you be if you bought GBTC at 1,064.95 and you've had this move here and this thing just seems to be struggling at 700? What what a poor representation of the actual Bitcoin.
There was a lot of warnings about that, though.
There
There
was.
were multiple people warning that did not track it well, and it was trading at such a premium. I mean, there's going to be some, they're trying to fight the ETFs, but there's going to be more tracking vehicles for Bitcoin as it continues to, gain popularity. People want this. They're not going to be able to hold it down forever. There's eventually going to be some better tracking vehicles here, and ones that got traded at a 50% premium probably are going to not hold that premium.
Well, what's performing better are miners. I don't know what the GBTC does, but when somebody brought it to my attention and I looked at it, Bitcoin had made a new high, and I looked at this one. It was so far from its high, so I said immediately, I don't even need to know what they do. They don't represent Bitcoin, because if they did, they'd be at the new high too. So there are other issues there, so I didn't get into it. I think there are miners that other people had brought me tickers, and now I can't remember them, of course, and they're flying high. So you have to, if you want to invest in Bitcoin, a lot of people I know are actually going out to actually buying it, but it's not that easy. You have to figure out how to buy it, where to store it, and etc.
There is limited supply. You're right, and that makes the price keep going up and up. Nick, Starbucks here. We got a question in the chat here. Bumper crop of coffee out of Brazil. Should lower costs, but the stock looks weak. What are your thoughts on Starbucks?
What's it doing now? Just so I don't put my foot.
Boy, oh boy, close.
Not doing much. It's up 20 cents.
Okay, it's okay. We've done this before where the stock is like nowhere near what I was talking about. So here's the easy trade on Starbucks. So we love it. We're all hooked on it. And the coffee. And it's just where you get in. It's a choppy trade, and it's stuck in a same place for a long time, which to me makes a good base as long as it holds the neck. So as long as it doesn't fall out of bed from 52.50, technically it's solid. If it does fall, it's kind of head and shoulder-ish in pattern where it keeps testing that neckline. And if the neckline breaks, probably won't break on its own without a reason. So that means that the markets are correcting a little bit. If it breaks, then it could carry down to say 48. But this is a stock where if it does on weakness, I would be comfortable selling puts in or put spreads long term out of trouble. Give it 10-15% buffer zone, and even if the worst case happens and I get assigned in a normal market environment, it's not a disaster. It's not that bloated valuation wise. Last time I looked, and the model itself, it's got a good base from which it can grow. I think that's what Buffett likes, right? Because we're all want the caffeine. We're not going to quit drinking coffee.
Well, $3, $5 coffee is a little too rich for my taste. But anyways, November 2nd, after the close, Apple will be announcing its Q4 results, looking for $1.87, nearly $51 billion in revenue. We've talked about multiple phones kind of hurting it. You get supplier talk. I know you like to trade this thing kind of pre-earnings, and if you could book some profits, go lotto here. Having a hard time, but finding some good support at 155. What's your thoughts on AAPL?
Yeah, not pretty price action. The headlines have been not, yesterday I thought I caught Wozniak saying this is the first time he doesn't immediately upgrade phones for the new phone, which kind of floored me because he used to be like the guy that shows up to the store and stands in line kind of like in support of his company. That to me spoke volume as to what kind of a royal mess up Cook did on the release this time with the two phones. I don't know what the heck were they thinking. Maybe they're smarter than all of us, and at the end, it turns out that they sold out of everything. But where there's smoke, there's fire. Perception is really all that counts, and it's already been established that we all believe that they messed up the release. So now onus is on them to prove that we are all wrong, and they have to deliver excellent numbers. Otherwise, this one might have some downside in it. But here's the thing: if I'm long Apple, I know that there are a couple of things that are going to defend my stock. Number one is Buffett likes to buy on weakness, and he's all in. And also the company itself is borrowing money to buy its own stock and deliver dividends. So that is going to defend my stock as well. So any dips towards the 140s, I'm not saying it's going there, but if it does, are definitely viable in this economic environment.
All right, before we let you go, bank stocks here. Thoughts on Goldman Sachs and the bank stocks. I know you sent out one of your videos, another one of your videos I didn't listen to. You gave us setup, you said, where these things are just going higher and, not to fight the tape in it. Go Goldman Sachs and then go XLF for us. Goldman looks like it's running into some problems here just above, 246, 247?
Just to be contrarian, I'm going to start with XLF because I already lined it up. So
okay,
you can see they were coiled coming into the earnings, and then the problem with shorting the banks, because they've gone so fast so far, is that they're still cheap metrics. If you look at their fundamentals, they're really cheap. Look at Bank of America, for example. You can't short them fundamentally. You have to short them from the price action if you want to, but I don't want to. So I have been buying dips, and the way I buy dips, I sell puts. I sold puts in JP Morgan at 85, and I think I mentioned it last week. I booked some of them, and I left the rest to run. And they're, I think for January, I did the same thing for Bank of America at 19, but that was from prior entry from lower levels. So those are also booked profits. So this is the only way I trade them. They're so cheap. I'm very comfortable owning them lower. So this is the perfect stock to sell puts in. If I get a sign, great. If I don't, then I made money out of thin air. When I sell a put, money goes into my account, but I open risk. And if price stays above that, the money is mine by the time it expires.
We've been on the line with Nic Chahine. He's the author of Create Income with Option Spreads, who joins the show every Tuesday to give us his fundamental and technical outlook on the market. Nic, thanks for the education. We'll speak to you again next Tuesday.
Sure. Goldman Sachs at 248 could trigger another buy signal there.
All right. Thank you. All right. 8:56. We always keep Nic on a long time here. Dennis. So doing a radio show sometimes gets you out of trades, Dennis. And
I was short McDonald's coming in to the radio show at 8 o'clock. I was like, I got to cover, and I covered 164.5. It went down to like 162.5 though. So I was kicking myself for a bit there when the radio show, because I had covered, obviously, I was out of the trade. Now it's up 165.5. So I don't know if I would have covered down there or not at the 162, and I probably would have covered somewhere in there because scalper blood, but glad I'm out because it's moving higher here. I mean, market's kind of spoken. My thesis was that I didn't think it was quite good enough, but market's obviously speaking the other way. We've had 312,000 shares here now, so it's looking like they are going to try to hold McDonald's up here this morning. So still kind of chopping around, though, trying to figure out where it wants to be, but looks like it wants to be higher.
166 is coming into play. That is your pre-market high. Let's go to the dailies. Yesterday's high, 166.10. So there's your level. After that, opens up to the all-time high in Mickey D's at 167.90. All-time closing high for you folks that are looking for a little bit more over 166. All-time closing high, 166.50. That was on Thursday.
We talked a lot of earnings stocks here, but we didn't really talk overall themes here today. And one theme that I do see here, TLT very weak, see financials very strong. Banks are all trading up anywhere from 0.5% to 1% here this morning. So, and then obviously, looking the other way, when you see the TLT weak, you have the utility stocks that are more dividend, dependent, are going to probably be a little bit weaker as well. So it does look like, there is that theme hiding in the background of these earnings where the TLT is weaker. I do see financials very strong. So, and if you look at these charts of these banks, I mean, some of them got hit on earnings. Most of them come right back. JP Morgan is trying to fight through $100 here right now. Full disclosure, I do have a position on JP Morgan right now. Probably going to cover if it goes through $100, leaning on the 100 because there's over 100,000 shares there in the book. Citigroup has come back about $3 from its lows there right after the earnings reports. I mean, Beardless, BTFD wins again, Joel.
Yeah, John Dotson is watch for a bounce after the open here. Watch for the bounce after the opening drop in Whirlpool. That's the old don't buy the open trick. But if let's say it opens 163, flushes down to 161, comes back up through 163. You have your entry at the long with your stop at the low of the immediate bar. That's the strategy we've talked about before. I think Sears said that they're not going to be selling Whirlpool appliances, but I think they only sold 5 or 6 last year, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. Spencer, 8:59 here. You want to wrap things up and preview 11:30 and
Can
then
we get,
tomorrow's show?
yes, I can. Can we get an update on some balances, Dennis, before I go?
Yeah, they've grown. Real standouts here is General Electric, and I mean it's there every day. And there's 561,000 shares here to sell. Now it looks like it wants to take out those lows. Looks like it wants to go through 22. Let's see how it opens. If it goes 22 and starts to whoosh down, or if it can try to hold those lows and bounce. But as of right now, it's a big seller off the hop, and they want out. And there's so many people that want out. I'm one of them that want out. I'm obviously not in the trade anymore, but still in my long-term investment. I don't know if I'm going to just say this one's just been a bad one. 17 years, I mean, I've justified and say, well, I've made a lot of money off the dividends, but I've made no money on, I'm actually down money because I think I bought around $30 17 years ago. It's 22 here now. So you sit on something for 17 years and it's down 8 points. That's a definition of a bad investment. GE has been a bad investment for basically 20 years.
Any other ones besides GE?
SLB, 649,000 to buy. Oil's up here a little bit, so I was not surprised that some of these oil stocks are catching a bit. AT&T, 75,000 to buy. Bank of America, 75,000 to buy. We know financials are strong. Alibaba, 52,000 to buy. Ford, 86,000 to sell. Still that pesky selling balance in there, despite GM trading higher, although GM is starting to leak a little bit on its gains as well. Our Square guy has grown to 84,000 shares to buy now. That's significant. General Motors does have 43,000 to buy. It's probably going to grow because the stock is trading up substantially in the pre-market. The Cat has 33,000 to buy. The Cat's buying balance is probably going to grow a lot too because that stock is trading up 9 points on the blowaway earnings.
Alrighty. As far as our show tomorrow, two guests on the docket. David Kudla will be on at 8:15. He is a money manager in Michigan. Here, he's the guy at Mainstay Capital Management is his firm there. And then we're also going to be joined by Alan Brockstein, the 420 investor, the marijuana stock expert at 8:35. That's it for our show today, but we will be back on this page on our pre-market prep homepage in a couple of hours. Like I said at the top of the show, 11:30 we'll be on with Gene Munster. We'll be doing a live Q&A with him. You can ask him questions in our chat. I'll be in the chat at 11:30. I hope you will join me there. I'll be moderating questions from there. You can also ask those questions via our Facebook or Twitter pages, or just email editorial@benzinga.com, and we'll get those questions over to Gene. So we'll be asking him anything you want to know about with regards to AI, Tesla, Apple, anything at all. 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, live Q&A with Gene Munster. But that is our show for us today. So hope everyone has had a good day so far. Hope you have a good rest of your day after we're done. And that's it for us. So have a good day, everyone. Hopefully I see you in a couple hours.